Well, I think we've been subject to a lot of half-truths, I think, from the government, a lot of spin in the last year or so about why they're making these cuts. What I wanted to do was actually go through their policy bit by bit and actually show that a lot of what they're doing is falsely predicated, and they're actually veiling the real reasons behind a lot of what's happening at this moment in time. And I think it also reflected the passion and the feelings within the service at the moment. I mean, we've carried out a survey published earlier this week which shows that 98% of officers are feeling very demoralised as a result of what's happened in the last year. Over 90% are either thinking of leaving the service or know somebody who is. That should really worry and concern the Minister. And we have a duty to actually let her know what the feeling is inside the service. And so we were polite, but we were also very direct in what we were saying. And that's what I try to get across in my speech, because we feel she hasn't been listening for the last year. We feel that she knows that she has all the answers and that they're all right and correct. And as practitioners, she needs to listen to us as well. Theories are great, but when it comes into practice, things go wrong. And we try to demonstrate she's been wrong already in the last year. It could be that she's going to be wrong again. If she was to listen to us, she might get more of a balance between the theoretical ideas that are coming in from outside the Home Office and be generated within it, and it would be a better balance, and that's what we're trying to say to her.
One of the features of your speech, I remember.
I'm an officer now with almost 34 years experience. I started policing back in the 1970s, and I experienced some very serious disorder early on in my service. The worst of which was the Brixton riots in 1981. I was there from the start almost to the finish of them over 3 days, and I can see how brittle society can be, how the mob can actually take over and break down the veneer of civilization. And it's a feature, I think, of our society over the years that we try to forget about, but it's there. And I'm also a thinking person. I try to think, why does something happen? And putting that together with my practical experience, I predicted that as a result of some of the savage cuts and deep cuts that were being planned within the coalition already, they were talking about them at that stage, that could cause fractures in society. It could cause unrest and disquiet. And although I hoped, because I'm a police officer, I want to see disorder on the streets, I hoped it wouldn't happen. I predicted that there could well be disorder, and was dismissed by the Home Secretary as saying something that she believed was untrue. Now, she repeated that again when Derek Barnett, a very respected man within the police service, a lot of experience, Chief Superintendent, President of the Superintendents Association, when he said at his conference that there is almost inevitably going to be disorder, she really ripped into him and said, "You're wrong." Well, within a few days, a few weeks of him speaking in September, we had a whole series of riots during the winter period, late autumn winter period, which showed her to be palpably wrong in her predictions. And she said recently as well that it's not a British thing to do to riot or create great disorder. Well, as I pointed out to her, look, people are rioting in Bristol over the opening of a shop. Surely that tells her that there is a potential for disorder on the streets of the country when we're going through such great societal changes that are being introduced by government. We don't want to see it happen. We're the ones who are going to have to clear up the mess afterwards. But what I said to her is, have a look and see what's happened. And so just to remind her that yes, she can get it wrong. She got it wrong profoundly in relation to the prediction that there would be no disorder, that if she can be as wrong about something as dramatic as that, then perhaps she should reflect on what we're telling her in relation to some of the other things that she's promulgating at the moment, and having a real detrimental effect on police officers and their morale. I'm an optimist. I'm always an optimist. I always see the glass half full, and as a police officer I always try to look for solutions and resolutions to any problem. The Home Secretary has a problem. She has a hugely demotivated and demoralised workforce. I want to work with her to try and get us back to a position where the communities, the public, are actually policed by officers who are motivated and fit for purpose and getting involved in what we should be doing, which is fighting crime. And it seems at the moment there's too much emphasis on fighting us rather than the criminals. But I want to help her in that, but she has to listen that she's doing too much to the police service. But not only are we facing the 2-year pay freeze, which could take 10% off the spending power of officers, not only are we facing that, we've got the pensions review by John Hutton, which is being undertaken, which could potentially take another few percentage points away from officers' pay and reduce their conditions of service. On top of that, we have the Windsor Review, which could take another 10% off officers. And that's a mighty hit for anybody trying to run a household budget to take, and somebody stood up and said, Windsor alone, forget about the 2-year pay cut, forget about pensions, Windsor alone will mean that an officer who is working with me will not be able to pay a mortgage. What do you say to that, Home Secretary? And again, it comes down to the fact she forgets she's dealing with people. It's not just factors within an equation, there are real people there, and they are going to suffer very badly as a result of some of the things that they're imposing on the police service. They have to stop looking to impose things on us and work with us.
The best outcomes for the police service.
Absolutely. There has to be an understanding, I think, within the Home Office that they don't have all the answers. There has to be an understanding that you can't keep imposing on the police service as the government has, and taking this great mighty chunk, as I demonstrated in my presentation and speech, out of the police service. It will have a detrimental effect on those serving. And we have a choice. We don't have to stay in the service, and some inevitably are going to go. And it seems to be that in their calculations, in their theories, when they've worked out the equations, they've forgotten that some of those factors in the equation are real people. And you have to have those real people with you. And as anybody knows, whether in the armed services or in business or wherever, you have to have a motivated workforce. You have to have them with you if you're carrying things forward. And they palpably are not doing that. They are disregarding the thoughts of the police officers who are concerned about the shape of the police force in the future. They're concerned about the communities that we serve. They're concerned about what they see as almost certain, perhaps, a rising crime. And so we want them to listen. Has it broken down the relationship? No, I don't think it has. We still talk, and we'll continue to talk to them. I've been at a lunchtime forum with the police minister. We're still on fairly cordial relations at this time, and we'll continue to speak to them. But they have to listen. There's no point in us speaking without the door being open to them listening as well. Otherwise, they might not have a police force in a few years' time.
Can I turn to the Home Secretary to meet the objectives?
Yes, absolutely. It's a very good use of funds to get our message across. The public need to know what's happening. I think there's, well, I don't think, I know that there's a lot of disquiet within the public sphere. 86% of people who we polled through Ipsos Mori earlier this year said they were concerned about the cuts in policing. And we're trying to get across to them, this is real, this is what is going to happen in terms of policing in the future. You can do something about it. And it'll be the public who will eventually change ministers' minds, I think.